Welcome to Scrollin', a podcast about the Elder Scrolls Online. I'm Ket.
I'm Davius.
This is episode number 29. Almost 30, dude. Almost there.
Getting a little old, we're getting up there.
We're going to have to start thinking about our career and where we're headed from here.
We can't be just joking around out there anymore,
Yeah. 30's kind of when I started kind of getting it together. Started really taking my job seriously and just trying to be an adult. I think it's right around that time.
That's a good way to describe 30, right? You're like, well, I guess I better start trying to be
at
an
least
adult.
Put in some sort of effort, yeah.
Goes from pretending to be an adult to trying to be an adult.
Yeah, it's a subtle difference, but it's it's there. It's a spectrum. Well, I guess that's a perfect way to bring up this first kind of announcement thing I wanted to talk about here. Speaking of adulthood and that sort of thing, I just want to give listeners a little bit of a heads up that there may be a brief interruption in episode releases because things are going to be changing a little bit in my personal life. I'm taking a new day job that is located in a different geographical location that's kind of a rural setting. There is somewhat high-speed internet access out there, fast enough to do a podcast and to play ESO. So I will be getting that set up, but there may be some time during that transition where I just don't have good enough internet access to make a podcast. Maybe not. It's totally possible that I could have a nice smooth transition and there'll be no interruptions whatsoever. But I just wanted to start talking about it now, and I'll probably drop little reminders over the next few episodes. It's probably going to happen about a month from now. I'm going to be making this move. So hopefully I can get a place to stay hooked up, get my internet all hooked up and ready before I even get there, and we won't miss a beat. But there is a possibility that we'll be missing an episode, maybe 2 episodes, depending on how things go as I make that transition. So don't worry if a couple of weeks go by and you haven't seen an episode pop up in your feed. We haven't gone anywhere. We just got to take this little break while I make this transition.
Listen, the priority has to go scrolling, roof, bed. I mean, in that order.
Yeah. I'll go find a truck stop with pay by the hour Wi-Fi and we'll do our podcast.
Oh boy, I'm ready for this one. This is going to be good. I'm holding you back on this one. I feel like this is the moment where you're ready, and I'm going to hold you back.
I don't know. Now you're setting these expectations. I'm a little disappointed with the Narayanth Arms pack. It's in the Crown store. I was really looking forward to it. I've talked about this before. The Lich Resto Staff style is so cool. It's like a vanilla base game style that NPCs have had for the longest time. Or you can have, if you have a Lich staff, you can use that and have that style. But it's never been available as a style that you can apply. And so finally, the Narayanth Arms pack is available in the Crown store. And there's a picture of Narayanth standing there with his awesome Lich staff. And so I'm like, freaking sweet. I'm going to buy this arms pack. I'm finally going to have that Lich staff style that I can put on all my characters. So, he's standing there, the cover art. He's holding that staff. And then you go and preview the arms pack and look at the staff that's in there. It's totally different. It's not the same thing at all. Not the same thing at all. It has this cool glowy effect. I guess it's kind of neat looking, but it's not nearly as neat looking as just the standard Lich staff, which is what's on the picture.
Yep.
This
one's a bummer because I feel like you've talked to me about that style of that staff for like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago.
I've been talking about it forever. Give us the Lich staff style. It's so cool.
And then you finally thought it was coming. You were pumped about it. It was going to be here. It's a toughie.
And the one that we got instead, I've said this about the arms packs before. I feel like the actual weapon hardly ever looks very cool. They put a cool glowy effect on it, and that looks cool. But if you take that away, the actual weapon itself is pretty bland and basic looking. That's very much the case with this one. I was like, it's just a staff, just a
Yeah.
normal, ordinary looking staff with a cool glowy effect.
I would like to see them take more risk with the weapons packs, and we've talked about this a little bit with mounts. I would like to see a little bit more risk with the weapon packs and the mounts. Just go a little crazy. Just let loose
Get
a little
weird with
bit.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get a little weird. Let loose a little bit.
Break lore.
Yeah.
Lore out the window. Fire the lore people. Don't do that.
I always feel like that the weapons pack, and same thing kind of with the new mounts and stuff. It always feels kind of safe. There's, like you said, there's some cool ones. It's good, but it just kind of feels real safe.
Yeah, I think there's probably a certain contingency of players. It's just, well, they gotta complete the collection, so just buy all of them no matter what.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's not really what I've been doing this week, but it's like a thing.
That's all you've talked about this week. You log in, you stare at it. That's what's happened.
Yeah, and it's just 4 hours straight. Like, I can't believe they did that. So of course I've been waiting for this patch to drop so that my Stamina Necromancer bow build, Bobby Bobango, can finally be in his true form, his final form. I've had his build done for a while, and it's been super strong for a few weeks now. But I've been waiting for this patch to drop because basically everything in his build is just getting majorly buffed. So he's just like a super hulked out version of himself now, and I didn't even have to change anything. I just logged in, updated the game. He's just a better character now. So I've done a bunch of battlegrounds with him. I have gotten some hate whispers, so I'm very proud of that. That's how you know it's a good, successful build.
That's how you know it's working.
I have the footage captured to make the build video. I've taken the screenshots. So I just got to sit down and record the voiceover and then put it all together. We'll see. Like as I said at the beginning of the episode, I'm going through a lot of like career changes and life changes right now. So hopefully I can make some time to make that video here pretty soon. But please do bear with me if it's delayed a bit. But like I said, I'm pretty close to having it, and man, it's going to be worth the wait. This is just an incredible build. It's so much fun. It's one of my very favorite builds, and it kind of has it all, man. I mean, it has an absurd amount of damage, like an absolutely absurd amount of damage. Fully speed capped. He's a speedy little devil. He's also like pretty surprisingly tanky and has quite a lot of healing power. Like, he kind of has everything.
He is. He's nasty.
He's nasty. I think one exception is he's really weak against stealth enemies, so like Nightblades or like vampires that are using that passive. He doesn't have a way to force enemies out of stealth. So that's just kind of a weakness I've accepted about the build, and I'm just going to let that be the case and go on with it. And that's fine. Every build has its weaknesses, and that's just one of his.
I happen to be one of the unfortunate souls that got to see this character early on before I think even you realized what it was. We did some dueling, and we could laugh about it now, but this build in the early dueling just took the wind out of my sails on my poor StamPlar, who I unfortunately dueled this character. It just took my momentum. I was like, oh my gosh, I just got so ruthlessly destroyed. I just kind of moved on silently to my next character.
I felt bad because you'd been like kind of really into that character that week and all that, and but that's like that. It was that same moment for me when I kind of realized that we might be onto something special here with this build, because like we've tested builds against each other before. I know kind of what to expect, and you always play these heavy armor Nords, and so like I'm sitting here and I'm not trying to boast, but I was killing you very quickly.
Oh yeah, you were
like
you were even
and you're no noob to this game. Like, you know how to play, and like this tanky, heavy armor freaking Nord. I was like, man,
Yeah.
I'm like, what have I done? What have I created here?
I will always remember it, that because we were doing it and we had done 2 or 3 runs and you're like, no, 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 really try to stay alive. And I just remember thinking, well, I am trying. Like, this is brutal. I am trying to
Like, no,
stay
don't take it
alive.
easy on me,
Yeah.
dude. Come on.
No, no, really, 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 really try to stay alive this time. I was like, oh my gosh, this is brutal. Oh, it was a good time.
It's
It was funny to think back now.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of damage, and like I said, the survivability is also very high, and it's something usually that you don't get with proc focused builds, and that's this build largely relies on procs. It actually has pretty low weapon damage, but still, yeah, surprisingly a lot of healing power, a lot of survivability, and the speed. He's fully speed capped, like I said. The speed in combination with all that it makes him a terror, is what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I mentioned already, his sustain is also very, very good.
Hmm.
So yeah, just all around superstar, man. One of my favorites.
Yep. And
Just weak against Nightblades. That's the only thing.
yeah, but and I think it's important to mention too is that you talked a little bit about this earlier, but he hits so hard, and he hits you with that major maim, and so it's you just can't even recover.
Or Defile.
Defile, I'm sorry, yeah, the major
Yeah.
defile, and so as he's hitting you so hard, there's nothing you can do to recover from it.
Yeah, and you have these stacking executes from Poison Injection and the Sheer Venom set and that Major Defile. Also, so Blast Bones is what applies Major Defile, and that Blast Bones deals disease damage, which can always potentially apply Minor Defile. So they could possibly have both. And they're getting a 45% healing reduction on top of the 60% healing reduction they already get in PvP, right?
Yep.
So they have that going on, and this stacking execute, and the actual burst attacks that are coming as well. It's a lot, dude. It's a whole lot.
A lot going on.
Roly poly builds and night blades are the ones that I struggle against the most. But even then, like if I can catch them, like if I just got to catch one CC, and that's all it takes. Also been playing with Betsy just because I don't know. This week I've been feeling I've been longing for a sense of comfort. I think I'm facing a lot of changes, positive changes, but big changes in my personal life, and I think just amidst all that turmoil, I just kind of need Betsy to anchor me right now.
Old reliable Betsy.
Yeah, my of course my PvP main, my stamina Templar. She's an orc. She's the best, dude. She's the total best. I mean, I know we talk about Stamsorks a lot, and I think most people would be like, "Oh yeah, these guys, they're probably their favorite is Stamsork." A lot of days that's true, but really, 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 deep down, it's really Stamina Templar for me, 100%. It always comes back to Betsy, and it always feels amazing to play on this character. It's just like I could almost play it blindfolded.
What's funny about this is that we're kind of both this way. Mine is more just Templar, because Davius is really my main. He's really my favorite. I don't know if he's a MagPlar or a StamPlar anymore. It's with his healing or tank and all of his mess. But it's funny because we both love Stamsork. I feel like that's like the rock show. That's like we go out and those are the ones we have the fun with. But when we go back home, we just need our Templars there.
Yeah.
We need to go back home to the Templar.
But yeah, Betsy's great. Been doing a lot of battlegrounds with her. She's kind of like Stamsork for me, where I just know I'm going to get decent results every time. I don't know if it's so much. Well, honestly, probably right now this meta, it probably does have a lot to do with the fact that it's just a Templar with a cleanse.
Yeah, get a cleanse on there.
Plus, she's super duper fast, and she has a ton of damage. So she really just has everything to thrive in the meta right now. She can cleanse off all that venomous smite and all those bleeds and all that other nonsense. She has all that speed to outrun people who are trying to apply that stuff to me, and then enough damage to burst someone down very, very quickly and get back on the move. It just feels so good to play, man. Like a fully speed capped stamina Templar, like medium armor with a bow. It just feels good. It feels really good. We checked out these new dungeons, right?
Hey,
Um,
these were our legendary story runs. Don't worry, guys. We
yeah.
uh, we got the story run down.
So
One.
this was our goal. We were going to do story runs. We're going to pay attention to the dialogue. We're actually going to like know what's going on in the story. Also, let's do it on veteran. We can do it,
Yeah.
right? So neither of those things happened.
Hold on, let me check
We
my
just,
story notes. One's in a castle. One has to do with werewolves. Done.
we get in there and we do what we always do. Well, first of all, before we even get in the dungeon, we're just hopping in Discord, just screwing around, just running around in the game, just talking about random stuff. And then before you know it, like 2 hours have passed,
Yep.
and then it's like, well, I don't feel like doing a veteran DLC dungeon now. Especially like I've heard these are kind of hard,
Yep. Yep.
So like, all right, let's just do it on normal. Come on, and we'll do the story. It's fine. And so we get in there, but then we just keep talking while we're just mindlessly just blasting through the dungeon and not even paying attention to a thing.
I think my favorite moment was I think we had killed two bosses. I think there's four bosses. We killed two of the bosses. And one of us, I don't remember who it was. One of us just said to the other one, "Hey, do you even know what's going on in here? Do we know this lady's yelling? Do we know what she's yelling about?" And we just went, "No, no, I guess we
No,
didn't.
no
I guess
idea.
we don't know why she's yelling."
Cool
Uh,
story run.
that's when we realized A+ on the story run.
Yeah, and the veteran run.
Yeah, and the veteran run.
Um, so
We got
yeah, but we got some general impressions, right? Castle Thorn, very vampire-y.
yep,
It's a castle. It's very spooky, kind of Halloween kind of vibes. A lot of vampires. A
vampires are
lot
there.
of blood stuff going on in there. Pretty cool. Like some of those boss like stage like those fight stages were
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I have to say with both dungeons, the thing that stood out to me the most, and really just from you doing your daily pledges and you see these new dungeons, they have gotten so good with the design and detail of dungeons. Like you go run like
Yes.
Fungal Grotto, and then you go to these, and you're like, what? There's no way these are two considered the same thing. They
Oh
just
yeah. That's a really great point. The coolest thing about Castle Thorn is that it really is a full-on castle with a billion rooms and
yeah,
nooks and crannies that you can explore that place for days. I feel like it's so big, and so much of it has nothing to do with like the objective of the dungeon. It's just space to explore.
yeah. Just
Pretty
you don't even
cool.
have to explore it if you don't want to.
Yeah. Stone Garden kind of takes it to another level, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was part of our story run. We finished the run, and then we're running around, and we're like, "Hey, what are these? What are these other rooms?"
Yeah, it's weird. Like the dungeon's over. We killed the final boss,
Yeah,
but there's all this other stuff that we didn't even see in that dungeon. It took us a while to even like figure out how to get to these different areas,
yep.
and it's like how can the dungeon be over and there's still all of this to see? We found these like weird kind of like special alchemy stations, right? And
Hmm.
you had to go and like hunt down ingredients, and then I don't know. I never figured it out, but you did something,
I
right?
Yeah. So this is a theory, and if we're wrong on this, please reach out. Let us know. We always want people to reach out. Let us know. But
Scrollingpodcast@gmail.com.
there it is. Boom. But my theory is that because I finally did one of the tables, I had the ingredients, and it gave me just a flat weapon and spell damage buff. And so I'm guessing that on vet, these are probably a lot more important. You can still do them on normal, but it's probably a lot more important on vet to have these buffs. Like you can go out of the way to get these extra buffs for characters
Do you
as you're going through the dungeon.
when you use those alchemy tables, do you actually create a potion that you can consume at any time, or does it just give you that buff right then?
Just gives you the buff, but there's no timer on the buff. It was just the flat buff.
Oh,
It was
oh.
just it was just there, no timer. So the entire time I was in the dungeon, it just gave me that buff. Um,
So that might be, yeah, you might be right. Like on veteran, maybe you have to do that,
Yeah,
or maybe it just makes it way easier if you
yeah.
do.
There's probably something that's there's probably a fight or something on veteran that makes that a lot easier. We need to run these on veterans figure it out. But
We need to
still,
get some.
really,
We need to get some people to carry us through the veteran version of these, because I've heard they're pretty tough.
yeah. But really cool idea. I mean, I love the creativity that's going into these. I think we both can agree. We're both very impressed with these dungeons and just
The
the
overall design and stuff.
yeah, the
Stone Garden was
detail.
cool too. It was like all underground and all the glowing rocks and stuff. And we mentioned this while we were running it in Stone Garden. They did such a cool job of giving it like this like mad scientist like sci-fi
Hmm.
vibe, but still within the lore and the stuff that you can do in that universe.
Yep.
Really cool.
Yeah, they did a great job on both of them. And even on, another really cool thing that we talked about is the final boss of Castle Thorn. Just the start of that fight, the room of that fight, very very
Yeah,
cool. Um,
yeah, cool vibes.
yeah, really really cool dungeons. Really good job on both of
Yeah, I know
those.
I'm remembering now the way the boss enters that room just as we were entering that room. A very cool like just way to meet that boss. Like
Yep.
it's like it makes it seem like this is about to go down, dude. It's about to get real in here.
So
She like slowly descends from up above, and she like has this badass pose. She's like this vampire
yep.
lord. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, they did a good job. Go run
Cool,
these
man.
dungeons. Do some story runs if you haven't.
Yeah, do some story runs like we did. We know we're totally caught up, and we know exactly what's going
We
on
know
in those stories.
exactly what's happening. Um,
Just like we did those dungeon runs on veteran.
yeah, exactly like that. Um, so, I'm going to talk about my StamCro a little bit here. You
Okay.
talked about your StamCro. Um, this is big. I've already leaked it to you, but this is big. He is using blast bones now. I know it. I did it.
Thought I'd never see the day.
He's using blast bones since day one, and you know this. I have not liked blast bones. I don't like the way it works. Don't like the mechanics. Um,
Well, it used to just like kind of not work, and I
yeah,
think
that's true.
that might be part of it. Is just like well, it really maybe was barely worth using in the first place, just because it barely worked. I feel like that's what turned me off from it. But then you
Yeah,
just never got over it. I feel
I
like.
I never forgave them for the disaster it
Yeah.
was when it first started.
Mhm.
No, but so I'm using. So I kind of, I've been talking about my Stamcro Bear Skull. He does the 5-piece Sword Singer with the Daring Corsair as the other 5-piece. I kind of made some changes, tinkered with him. He was the one I've been talking about. He's one of the things I was most excited about. He's getting Sword Singer's getting that the big damage buff. But so I actually pulled Bloodspawn off of him, and I actually moved the Ring of the Wild Hunt to him because most people that play Necromancer they're kind of slow, especially if you I feel like if you do a Nord uh, uh, Necro, then you're definitely going to have some slow. So
You're gonna be moving slow.
I threw the Ring of the Wild Hunt on there, so he's flying around. He got the buffs from this patch. I threw Blast Bones on there. And this guy's he's really turned into something.
He
I
has ascended.
he has turned into something here. I had I sent it in the Discord earlier this week, and we made some jokes. Fully buffed his dizzy swing uh, is over 13k tooltip on his spammable dizzy swing.
It's like
Um,
having an ultimate as your
yeah,
spammable.
so it's just I mean he hits like a truck. His onslaught is just under 17k. Um, and with him being a Nord, he was wearing Bloodspawn. He's not anymore, but he's still part of the reason for I felt good about taking Bloodspawn off is I can't remember the name of the ability, but Necros have that fantastic ulti-gen ability where you absorb the corpses to get ultimate. I can't remember the name of it,
Hmm.
but
Um, What is it? It's called something. I know what you're talking about.
It's got a name. But that just combined with the fact that the character's a Nord is plenty of ultimate build. He's getting, and the Daring Corsair is actually giving a minor heroism every time I use my spammable. So he already has fantastic ulti gen, and so he gets them.
And Daring Corsair reduces the cost of your ultimate by 10%,
Yep.
right?
So he's
Yeah.
onslaughting all the time. Um, I do like this character. He's very simple rotation. It's just dizzy swing, onslaught when it's there, and then execute when it's time.
Mm-hmm. That's
It's
all you need.
yep. And I've kind of joked with you. He goes so fast now. I actually the other change I made is that he's full 7 medium, which another
Oh,
never thought
wow.
never thought it'd see the day. An old Davius running 7 medium.
I like a 7 medium.
He's a fast character. He's the probably the
Mm-hmm.
hardest part about landing the dizzies is that I am overrunning the targets now because I'm moving
You're
so
like
fast.
you're like running past them as you're swinging.
I just imagine that I'm just saying, "Oh, here it comes! Watch out for the oh, oops! I
Oops.
would have lived too far. Let me
you like
back
you
up
like
a second."
whiff and go off a cliff or
Yeah,
something like Wile E.
you
Coyote.
joke about that. I've run off a cliff or two with how quick this character's going compared to
Yeah.
the other characters I have. It's happened. But he's a lot of fun. I think the first, and I told you about this too. We always love to kill the giants outside of Windhelm. It's one of our favorite, just random farming spots, just to get rotation, practice rotation, and kind of see
Yeah.
DPS on a character. Um, I was going through those giants, and it's not my regular, but I was hitting one, and I finished him off, and I was at like 45k DPS when I finished this giant off. And at that moment, that was when I kind of realized, like, oh my gosh, this guy does a lot of damage compared to my other characters.
Yeah. And
This
I
guy
think
hits hard.
I should explain about like we test these we test our PvP builds out on these giant NPCs up in where what is the name of the place?
It's East March. Come
Windhelm.
on, just outside of
I'm
Windhelm and
sorry.
East March.
And
I'll forgive
you
you.
know, of course in PvP, I think a lot of people will tell you, well, it's not so much about DPS, it's more about just your burst. And that's true. But it can be a helpful metric to just for comparison's sake. So we often go and beat up these giants, and it can be a helpful just measurement to take. Like, okay, from beginning to end, when I start attacking this giant until he dies, how much damage per second am I doing in that window of time? Gives you a good idea of just how hard your character hits in general.
Yeah,
So I like to do that.
yeah, it's just kind of a good measuring stick. I feel like for kind of what, and it's good to compare to other characters. If we've got battlegrounds
Yeah.
characters that work, then we kind of know what numbers are good to see, and uh, yeah, it just works out really well. And those giants are just tanky enough to where you
Yeah,
can
and
get.
that's the other thing is there that area is so great. Maybe we should keep it hush. I don't know, but
Hey, I've been inviting
what's
people
what
to East March for almost however many episodes now.
what's great about the Giants is yeah, they have enough health so that you can pull off your full combo, maybe even a couple of times before they die. And there's so many of them around there, you can just run around and just keep doing it again and again. I wish you could CC them is the only thing.
That's
Then
the
you could
one
really actually
thing.
practice your combo for real.
Yep,
But
it's the one
whatever.
thing you can't CC him. So yeah, so the Bear Skull, he's my StamCro. He's in good shape right now. I was doing mainly battlegrounds at the beginning of the week with him, um, having a lot of fun with just how hard he hits. Um, I like him just because I know that StamCro is such a popular. It's kind of the go to class right now in battlegrounds. And now that I'm
Mm-hmm.
using Blast Bones, I'm using it's a big part of the reason. But I still like that he's very unique for StamCro, and that um, he mainly is just all in on those two handed abilities with that Sword Singer. It works out well, and the Daring Corsair, given the 10% um, cost reduction to those two handed weapon abilities,
Yeah.
um, it really allowed me to kind of his sustain is a lot lower than I would normally run, but it's just fine on him because all of his major abilities that he's using a lot have a 10% cost reduction. So it led me kind of go even further
Yeah. Well, you
on
have
weapon damage.
the 7 medium is giving you a lot of
Yep.
cost reduction also.
Yep. So it works out really well. He feels really good in Battlegrounds right now.
Nice.
And then more recently, kind of where I've did with the later of the week Battlegrounds, is that the other character that I talked about, I'm excited about, Old Lord of Nords, my full-on Ultigen. He's got the new Bloodspawn working.
Bloodspawn's back.
Yeah, Bloodspawn's back. He's got Potentates. He's got the Champion of the Hist. Um,
The
he's
trait, the weapon trait, decisive.
the weapon trait
That that
decisive.
that got buffed.
Um, and it's interesting because the world of StamDK, and I think you experienced this. You can talk on this a bit too. It's kind of a tough. They're kind of in a tough spot right now. It's not their best moment.
You
Um,
know, yeah, you're totally right. And I was talking about this on the last episode because I had this cool StamDK build that I was like really psyched about putting together, and so I've been trying it out. And it's like, man, I've been struggling so much. Like, and the build has a lot of damage, and it sometimes does well, but it's just like the StamDK defensive toolkit is just, for me anyway, not up to the task of surviving in a battleground. At least for that build, anyway. But I could make that build work on a Stam sword.
yep.
And then I just started noticing, like, well, maybe it's not just me because I'm really not seeing a ton of Stam DKs right now. So maybe they're just struggling as a class in that environment.
It is a struggle. I with all the battlegrounds I was doing, the biggest struggle right now is that it's tough to have a cleanse on the StamDK, and it's for a such a melee class with this proc meta we're in. It's you're when you're getting from point A to point B, that is a dangerous trek right now in battlegrounds.
Yeah,
Uh,
you just don't have any of those, like Templar's Cleanse gets them through quite a bit. Stamsork's Streak.
yeah,
Nightblades have their Cloak. Wardens have Shimmering Shield and a Cleanse and lots of healing.
mhm,
Uh, you know, Stam DKs, they don't have any of that. They don't have speed. All they can do is just freaking tank it out, and that's just not really doable, and no CP especially right
yeah.
now.
You just can't do it right now.
Yeah.
That being said, though, uh, the Ultigen, I actually got pretty good results. I've kind of realized that the Stam DK life, especially just specifically with my character Lord of Nords, is that he gets a lot of kills. He runs the Malakath ban. He gets a lot of kills, but he got a lot of deaths too, which is kind of just BGs in general
Mm-hmm.
now. But
That's
uh,
absolutely Sally. My orc stam. I have a Nord stam DK and an orc stam DK. So the one I'm talking about now is the orc.
mhm.
Exact same story with her. She'll go like 15 and 15.
that's
Like
that's where
pretty typical.
I was at. Like I think my average was probably like 12 kills, but then I'll have like 9 deaths. It's like
Yeah,
it's basically every kill you get, you're gonna turn around and get killed right after you get the kill.
because
Um,
you have to hit and run, and
mhm.
this stam DK is just not set up for that.
Yep, there's not. That's why that was a big reason why I switched to the new heal that they made the change on, just to try to get maybe some stronger heals, some survivability. Because with this Ultigen build, I'm leaping all over the place with the potentates. I think my ultimate costs 94 ultimate to leap, and I have the morph that reduces the cost as well. So it's like 94 ultimate to leap, and he's getting ultimate like crazy. I think uh, I need to do the actual test on it, but from how many battlegrounds I've played,
94 ultimate for leap is pretty awesome.
yeah, especially on a Nord with Bloodspawn
And yeah,
with
and you're
Champion of the Hist.
generating ultimate so
Yes,
fast. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I got
yeah,
to see that in action.
yeah.
Oh my
So it
god.
it it averages out about I'm leaping about every second rotation is what about averages out in a battleground. I haven't done the exact math to figure that out, but going through enough
Mm-hmm.
battlegrounds, that's kind of how it feels. Is I do one rotation, second rotation leap, another rotation, second rotation leap. That's pretty much how it works
Yeah,
out. And with that
that's sweet.
Malakath band, the leap is it's pretty nasty.
It hits
Uh,
hard, and that's going to help your survivability quite a bit because you get that battle roar, so you're kind of healing when you leap.
yeah.
If Are you using the morph that gives you the damage shield, or
No,
no?
I'm using the actual stamina version because that's
Okay.
the one that I think it's called Take Flight. But that's the one that
Mm-hmm.
also has a built-in cost reduction too. So Take Flight
Ah,
makes it cost a
gotcha.
little bit less.
Cool.
So he's leaping all over the place. I mean, he's Lord of Nords. What is it? Lords are leaping. He's
Lords a leaping.
Lords a leaping. He's doing it. It's happening.
There's the episode title right
Lords a
there.
leaping. It's happening. But yeah, I'm having the same results as you. It's a whole lot of kills, but you better be prepared to die. It kind of when I was early in the week when I was doing battlegrounds, I especially with you talked about I kind of do tanky characters, ones that kind of survive situations. I did a couple battle rounds. I kept thinking, I was like, man, these are not going well. And at the end of the match, it'd be like, well, you got 13 kills, but 9 deaths. So it's like it's just a weird feeling. I'm not used to
Hmm.
those types of numbers. But he's a lot of fun to play right now. I'm gonna keep tinkering with him. Like I said, I made the heal change. Maybe that'll help with the survivability. I did do one battleground. I remember this one specifically that I had a dedicated healer in the battleground.
Oh, nice.
Oh man, I think that one he went like I think I went like 14-2. I
That makes a big difference.
yeah, if he's got someone healing him, it made all the difference. I stuck to that healer like glue. It was one of those ones where right at the beginning of the match, he was like, "Hey, I heal people." I just did the smiley face in chat. That's all I needed. I remembered what his look was, and I just stuck to that guy like glue. And that one went
I'm
really
gonna
well.
I'm gonna try to pay attention this week and see if I can spot any DKs doing well and try to like take note of what they're doing and
Yeah,
how they're playing and
it's
how they're getting those results.
it's a tough life out there for StamDKs right now. That's the thing too is that and I don't know I'm curious to see how if it's working for you is that when you even when you're fighting somebody every kill I get I feel like that by the end of it I'm at 20% health like it's just I there's no defense it's just all out offense with the stamp DK right
Hmm.
now it's just go all out try to get the kill and then hopefully nobody's around when you get the kill to turn around you can run in a corner and try to get healed back up uh, but yeah um, And then the one thing here it is. We're bringing it up. I've talked about it before, but it's pretty much locked in. We've there's been whispers. We've mentioned it. The werewolf support build. I'm locking it in. It's 5-piece Kraglin's Howl, 5-piece Arcasis' Genius. Uh, werewolf gonna go pack leader. This is gonna be for our wolf pack. We've talked about it for a long time. It's gonna happen. We're gonna run a wolf pack of goons, the goon pack. I don't know,
It's gonna be a
maybe
goon pack.
the
Yeah.
goon pack. It's gonna happen. This guy, in theory, this guy is just gonna feed so much ultimate to the group that people are just gonna be werewolves the whole time. They don't even have to worry about it. They can spec all damage. This guy's gonna have them covered on them staying as werewolves. Um, the one thing that I haven't finalized yet is that I think I'll probably do a monster set. I don't think I know a lot of werewolves out there doing the Ring of the Wild Hunt. I think that's a really cool idea. But we kind of
Hmm.
we kind of both this way is that if we're using a set or an item on one character, we usually like to try to not use it on a different character, just so we're using a bunch of different sets, a bunch of different play styles.
Yeah, we like to just kind of force ourselves to explore different things.
Yeah, so Ring of the Wild Hunt is on the StamCro, so I'm going to keep it that way. But I'm thinking right now, probably Mighty Chudan, or I think it'd be cool to do Lord Warden, just because werewolves, it's hard to keep the resistances up. They're not going to have the major resolve, and so that Lord Warden could kind of help the werewolf pack with that. But I'm going to do a call out for our listeners on this. Is that I'm curious to hear what their thoughts are. Is that if they've got an idea with the extra piece or two pieces, whether it's a mythic item or a monster set, what they think the final piece to the werewolf support build should be. Let us know.
I'm gonna write and I'm going to say Mighty Chudan.
You're voting for Mighty Chudan. I never would have thought that. You've had some passive aggressives towards me just because I don't have a character with Mighty Chudan. Every now and then.
What do you have against Chudan?
But yeah, I need to. I've been talking about. I feel like that I've let people down. I've been talking about leveling up this werewolf for a while, but this is the first time that I'm so
they
excited.
Keep asking me, where's Davius's werewolf? They keep
where's
saying
the werewolf build? But I'm excited about this one. I think it's such a goofy build to see this werewolf that's going to be buffing people, but. If it really does work, where it just gives an insane amount of ultimate to the group, it's just going to be so much fun. I feel like.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna do it. We keep saying it. Just when the time is right, it's gonna happen.
Yep. Really, what we need is we need one of those experience event in-game holiday events. Those are the times to level up a character.
Perhaps an Imperial City event.
Perhaps.
Oh, you mean like an XP event? I see.
Well, Imperial City is a good. That's not a bad idea. There might be something to that.
Dude, we could get a goon pack in Imperial City and go slaughter like waves and waves of noobs. That could be fun.
Could be a lot of fun.
All right. No emails this week. If you'd like to send us an email, you can email us at scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. That's scrollin with an IN, scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. Anything you'd like to ask or share, you can tell us a funny joke, just say hello. Really, whatever you like is fine as long as you're friendly about it. scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit us up in game. I am at Ket Sparrowhawk. Davius is at Starjumper. We have a guild called Stoons Goons. And basically, the vibe that you hear here on the podcast is pretty much what you get with the Stoons Goons. We're pretty PvP focused, but we do really a little bit of everything. We help each other farm for gear. We do like questing and story content when we can force ourselves to pay attention long enough to do that. And mostly we just kind of hang out in Discord and joke around and talk about a lot of stuff that isn't related to ESO at all while we play ESO. So we're just a fun group of people. If you're interested, hit us up and you can be a member. We still have plenty of spots open. Anything else to say, Davius, before we head out?
Just let's start up that goon pack, guys. Reach out, join up, could be part of this future goon pack.
Well, you got to be a werewolf wearing Stoon's favor.
Rules. Do we have? I don't think there's a single person in the guild that's wearing Stoons that actually is wearing it. Which
I think. Shout out to Grizzly Khan. I think Grizzly.
Of course, Grizzly would be the one to carry. Way to go, Grizz! Fantastic.
I think he did something like he put like 2 pieces on a character that he was leveling up or something like that.
Hey.
Can't remember.
The Grizzly Con shout out of the week. He's helping us with our name.
You thought we were going to get out of here with no Grizzly shout out.
He snuck in there right at the end.
Right at the tail end. All right, we're going to call that an episode. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next time. Goodbye.